Picture this. You just bought your first home. You're standing there in the driveway, holding the shiny new keys.
Oh, that is the best feeling.
Right. You've got your own space, absolutely no landlords telling you what you can and can't do, and just total unbridled freedom. It's the ultimate dream.
It really is, until reality sets in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, that perfectly manicured front lawn, and you breathe a massive sigh of relief. But lurking just inches under that beautiful green grass is a hidden, complex system that most new buyers completely ignore.
Always. They never think about it.
Right. At least until it turns into an absolute foul-smelling nightmare, because beneath the grass is a living, breathing ecosystem, and most new homeowners are unknowingly executing a mass extinction event on it every single time they clean their bathroom.
Yeah, that's spot on.
So today, for our deep dive, we're talking about the septic tank and how to actually survive having one.
It really is the ultimate hidden monster for a first-time homeowner. We fall in love with the independence of having our own property, the privacy, all that space.
Oh, totally.
But we rarely consider the incredible, almost intimidating responsibility of managing our own wastewater.
Well, yeah, because if you grew up on a city sewer system, your relationship with plumbing is purely transactional, right?
Yeah.
And blissfully ignorant.
Very much so. You just flush and forget.
Exactly. Water goes down the drain and it magically disappears into the municipal void. You never think about it again. But a septic system is, well, it's a totally self-contained wastewater treatment plant for your specific house.
Which is a huge mental shift for people.
Right. Everything that goes down your drains, the toilets, the sinks, the showers, the laundry water, the kitchen waste, it all flows straight into this concrete vat buried right in your yard.
And what happens inside that vat is actually a really fascinating combination of gravity and biology.
Okay, break that down for us, because it's not just a trash can, is it?
Not at all. When the wastewater enters the tank, it doesn't just sit there as this chaotic soup. It naturally separates into 3 distinct layers based on density.
Like oil and water separating.
Exactly like that. So the heavy solid waste settles all the way down to the bottom to form what we call the sludge layer.
Okay, sludge at the bottom. Got it.
Right. Then the lighter materials, like your oils, fats, and grease from cooking or soaps, those float up to the very top, creating a crust. We call that the scum layer.
Gross. But okay, that makes sense. What's in the middle?
Trapped in the middle, you have this relatively clear, watery zone called the effluent. But the crucial mechanism here isn't actually the separation.
Oh, what is it then?
It's the fact that this tank is absolutely teeming with bacteria. Those bacteria actively feed on the organic material, slowly breaking it down and digesting it over several days.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and only after that digestion process does that middle layer of water slowly flow out of the tank and into your yard's drain field.
So it's essentially a giant underground stomach.
That is a perfect analogy, actually.
Right. Your house basically has a digestive tract, and it needs a perfectly balanced gut microbiome to work smoothly.
And when that stomach gets indigestion, let me tell you, it doesn't just rumble. It physically backs up into your downstairs bathtub.
Oh, man. That is a horrifying visual.
It's the reality. First-time homeowners often assume a septic tank is just a passive piece of hardware,
Yeah.
like a brick wall or a poured concrete foundation.
Right. They think it's just an indestructible box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't expect a living stomach to just process whatever garbage you throw at it without consequences.
Yeah.
Assuming it's an indestructible container is really the foundational misunderstanding that leads to massive plumbing catastrophes.
Which is wild to me when we look at the home buying process.
Oh, the inspections, yeah.
Yeah, like why is it that when we buy a house, we will demand a microscope on a squeaky floorboard? We will agonize over the exact age of the HVAC compressor, right?
People will check the attic for a single drop of moisture.
Exactly. But then we will blindly accept a giant underground tank holding years of someone else's waste without even asking for its medical history.
It really just comes down to human psychology. Out of sight, out of mind. Buyers completely obsess over the interior paint colors and the visible exterior landscaping.
Right. The stuff they can see.
Right. But they completely fail to request a detailed, specialized septic inspection. And a standard home inspector is essentially useless here.
Wait, really? They don't check it at all?
Not properly, no. They might run the faucet, maybe flush a toilet and say, yep, the water goes down. But they aren't opening the underground lids. They aren't dropping cameras down the pipes.
Oh, wow. So you could be buying a ticking time bomb and not even know it.
Absolutely. A system might look perfectly fine on the surface. The toilets flush quickly, the grass looks vibrant and green. But underneath,
What could be hiding down there?
It could be hiding cracked concrete, a completely saturated drain field, or severe sludge buildup that is just inches away from causing a total blockage.
You hear horror stories about tree roots, too, like destroying the pipes.
Oh, tree roots are incredibly aggressive. A microscopic hairline crack in an aging concrete tank will release just a tiny drip of nutrient-rich water.
And the trees sense that.
Yes, a nearby oak tree will literally sense that moisture, send a root toward it, and wedge its way into the crack. Over time, that root expands with thousands of pounds of pressure.
Just from growing.
Yeah, literally shattering the concrete and crushing the outlet pipes. Or, going back to your stomach analogy, the tank might just have incredibly poor bacterial activity because of how the previous owner lived.
Like they killed off the microbiome.
Exactly. It could be biologically dead inside. If you don't inspect it with a specialized contractor before closing on the house, you are financially on the hook for inheriting a decade of a stranger's neglect.
So if you are listening to this and you're actively in the process of buying a home with a septic tank, you have to be proactive.
You really do. It's not optional.
Request the septic maintenance records directly from the seller. Don't just casually ask if it works, right?
Yeah.
Ask for the exact invoice showing the date the tank was last pumped out.
And use your nose, too. Walk the property.
Yeah, go out near the drain field, which is usually a large, suspiciously flat, grassy area in the yard, and check for any foul, swampy odors. Verify the tank's physical size, too.
Right, to ensure it can actually handle the daily water usage of your specific family size. A tank for 2 people won't handle a family of 6.
Exactly. Spending a few $100s on a specialized inspection now prevents tens of thousands of dollars in emergency landscaping excavation later.
That's the truth. But let's assume you did the inspection. The tank is structurally sound, the biome is healthy, and you are officially moved in.
Pop the champagne. We're safe.
Not quite. The immediate danger shifts to how you, the shiny new homeowner, might accidentally destroy that delicate gut microbiome through simple everyday habits.
Okay, here we go. The self-sabotage phase.
Exactly. And the most common form of sabotage is treating the toilet like a trash can.
Okay, I have to push back on one specific item here because it drives people absolutely crazy. Wipes.
Oh, the flushable wipes.
Yes. If the box at the grocery store literally says flushable right on the front in massive bold letters, why is it considered the ultimate enemy of the septic system?
The massive disconnect between retail marketing and plumbing reality is honestly astonishing. When a company labels a wet wipe flushable, they simply mean it is physically capable of passing through the curved pipe at the bottom of your ceramic toilet bowl.
Wait, really? That's the only requirement?
That is the entire legal threshold. It flushes out of your sight, so they call it flushable. But toilet paper is designed to disintegrate into mush almost immediately upon hitting water. Wipes are entirely different.
Because they're used for cleaning, so they have to be stronger.
Exactly. They are woven with strong synthetic fibers, specifically so they don't fall apart in your hands when you scrub with them. When they hit the water in your septic tank, they retain their structural integrity. They just sit there.
So they don't break down at all?
They do not break down, no matter how much bacteria is in the tank.
They just form a permanent underwater rag ball.
A rag ball is a great way to put it. They tangle together with hair and grease to form these massive, impenetrable mats that completely clog the inlet and outlet baffles.
That sounds like a nightmare. And it's not just wipes, right?
Far from it. Paper towels, feminine hygiene products, cat litter, and coffee grounds are constantly flushed or washed down the sink.
Coffee grounds. Really?
Oh, coffee grounds are particularly destructive. People think because they are small, they will just wash away. But coffee grounds are dense and they interlock.
Okay, so they don't float.
Nope. They sink straight to the sludge layer at the bottom and create a heavy, concrete-like sediment that never decomposes.
Man. And then you have the chemical warfare. The physical trash is bad, but the liquids we pour down the drain are incredibly ironic.
Irony is the perfect word for it.
Because the very same harsh chemicals we use to keep the inside of our house sparkling clean and perfectly hygienic, well, they are simultaneously sterilizing the environment our home relies on to survive.
It's true. We are a society absolutely obsessed with sterility. We want to kill 99.9% of germs on every single surface.
Right, spray the bleach everywhere.
Exactly. But your septic tank depends entirely on a thriving, massive population of germs bacteria to naturally break down the organic waste.
So when we use those heavy-duty cleaners...
When you wash heavy bleach down the shower drain, or use potent antibacterial hand soaps day after day, or drop those continuous release blue disinfectant tablets into the toilet tank.
Oh, those blue tablets are so popular.
They are. But by using them, you are washing a steady stream of poison directly into that underground ecosystem.
You are executing a mass extinction event on the very organisms that keep your house functioning.
And without those beneficial bacteria, the decomposition process grinds to an absolute halt. The solid waste just stops turning into liquid.
Which means it just builds up, right?
Rapidly. The sludge layer piles up, the scum layer thickens, and the actual water capacity of the tank shrinks drastically.
So the system basically becomes a ticking time bomb. You've been flushing the indestructible synthetic wipes, you've poured interlocking coffee grounds down the kitchen sink, and you've just nuked the entire bacterial population with antibacterial bleach.
A perfect recipe for disaster.
But human nature dictates that if the toilet still flushes, everything must be fine, right? People ignore the subtle warning signs because the system, quote-unquote, mostly works.
It's a really dangerous psychological trap. The warning signs of a failing septic system are usually very quiet at first.
What should people be looking out for?
You might notice the bathroom sinks draining just a fraction of a second slower than usual. You might hear strange gurgling sounds coming from the shower drain when the washing machine runs in the other room.
It's like ignoring a slight, persistent numbness in your left arm. You convince yourself you just slept on it wrong, but in reality, it's the subtle warning sign of an impending massive cardiac arrest for your house's plumbing.
A plumbing cardiac arrest is exactly what happens when the tank reaches its limit. Because, as we said, septic tanks are not maintenance-free. Minor septic issues never resolve themselves naturally once the biological balance is gone.
So things just keep getting worse under the ground.
Precisely. Over time, as those solids accumulate and the efficiency of the tank declines, the sludge thickens to the point where it gets pushed out of the tank and into the drain field.
Oh, wait, let's actually pause and map the anatomy of the drain field. Because if someone doesn't understand the tank, they definitely don't know what a drain field is.
Fair point.
The tank is just the holding pen, right? The digester, but the drain field is the actual filter.
Yes. The drain field is a sprawling network of perforated PVC pipes buried in long underground trenches filled with crushed stone or gravel.
Okay, so pipes with little holes in them.
Exactly. When the relatively clear water leaves the middle layer of the septic tank, it flows into these pipes and slowly trickles out through the perforation.
And then into the gravel.
Right. It filters through the gravel and eventually absorbs into the deep soil, where natural soil microbes do the final purification. The whole system relies entirely on the soil's ability to absorb liquid.
So if the bacteria in your tank are dead and the solid waste hasn't broken down, that thick, untreated sludge gets pushed out of the tank and straight into those perforated pipes.
And that is the absolute death blow. The thick sludge flows into the gravel and coats the soil in a dense, slimy layer called a biomat.
A biomat? That sounds awful.
It is. It completely seals the pores of the dirt. The soil literally becomes waterproof.
Waterproof dirt. That defeats the entire purpose of a drain field.
Exactly. Once the drain field can no longer absorb water, the entire system backs up into your house, and the costs of this failure are staggering. Yeah. We are not talking about a couple $100 for a weekend plumber.
What are we talking about here? Give us the numbers.
We are talking emergency pumping, tearing up your yard with a backhoe to rip out the ruined pipes, excavating thousands of pounds of contaminated soil,
Oh my God.
and cleaning up biohazardous water damage inside your home. Depending on the soil type, the size of your property, and strict local environmental regulations, completely replacing a failed septic system and drain field can easily run anywhere from several thousands to tens of thousands of dollars.
It is easily one of the most devastatingly expensive home repairs you can possibly face.
Which is exactly why building a proactive defense is non-negotiable. Reversing the damage and maintaining long-term health requires three fundamental pillars.
Okay, what are they?
You need balanced bacteria, proper oxygen flow, and efficient waste breakdown.
Okay, so if bleaching the tank turns it into a graveyard, how do we bring it back to life? Can we just dump a bunch of baker's yeast down the toilet like my grandfather used to say?
The old baker's yeast trick is a classic myth. It doesn't actually solve the core biological problem at all.
Good to know. So what is the actual science to rebuilding this biome?
The science of waste breakdown comes down to understanding the environment inside the tank. Traditionally, a septic tank is an anaerobic environment, meaning it is severely deprived of oxygen.
Well, yeah, because it's a sealed concrete box buried under dirt and filled with water.
Precisely. And the bacteria that naturally survive in that oxygen-deprived environment are called anaerobic bacteria. They do break down waste, but they are incredibly slow, sluggish, and inefficient.
They just sort of pick at it.
Right. They also produce nasty byproducts like hydrogen sulfide gas, which is what causes that horrific rotten egg smell.
Oh, so that's where the smell comes from.
Exactly. But there's a second type of bacteria, aerobic bacteria. These require oxygen to survive, but they are hyper-aggressive. They digest organic waste 20 to 30 times faster than anaerobic bacteria.
20 to 30 times faster, that's a massive difference. So the goal is to somehow introduce oxygen into this sealed underwater box to supercharge the digestion process.
Exactly. When you look at the latest preventative science, there's a treatment specifically designed to solve this oxygen problem called SEPTIFIX.
Okay, how does that work?
It's incredibly appealing to first-time homeowners because it requires virtually zero technical knowledge. It comes in the form of a dense tablet. You simply flush one tablet down your toilet once per month.
Just once a month? That's easy enough. But once that tablet hits the underground tank, it doesn't just sit there like the flushable wipes.
No. It dissolves and triggers a chemical reaction. As it dissolves, it releases a massive surge of oxygen-releasing compounds directly into the water, alongside a fresh colony of beneficial bacteria.
So it's delivering the oxygen and the good bugs at the same time.
Exactly. By chemically introducing oxygen into the tank's environment, it instantly transforms the tank from a sluggish anaerobic environment into a highly efficient aerobic environment.
It's like flooding a smoldering campfire with a massive gust of wind. The breakdown process accelerates exponentially.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. The combination of targeted oxygen and specialized bacteria rapidly clears the system.
So what are the actual results people see?
Well, it significantly neutralizes those foul odors we talked about. It heavily cuts down on the dense sludge buildup at the bottom, helps clear up the slow drainage issues, and prevents the creeping accumulation of waste.
Wow. So it's basically a low-friction tool that allows you to actively manage the biology of the ecosystem with a single monthly flush.
Exactly. It's preventative maintenance made incredibly simple.
But dropping a tablet in the toilet once a month doesn't grant you a free pass on physics, right? Chemistry and biology can only do so much. You also have to manage the physical daily load on the infrastructure.
You do. Which brings us to the concept of hydraulic overload.
And the idea that plain, clean water can actually break the system is totally counterintuitive to most people.
It really is, but it comes down to fluid dynamics. The average septic tank holds about 1,000 gallons of water.
Okay, sounds like a lot.
It is, but if you run 3 heavy loads of laundry back-to-back on a Saturday morning while someone else is taking a long, luxurious 20-minute shower.
And the dishwasher is churning in the kitchen.
Right, you're blasting the tank with hundreds of gallons of water all at once.
You are hitting the delicate ecosystem with an underground tsunami?
Yes, and remember, the tank desperately needs time to let gravity do its job. The heavy solids need hours to slowly settle to the bottom, and the oils need time to float to the top.
Oh, I see where this is going.
If you blast the tank with a fire hose of incoming water, you stir the entire stomach up, you create massive turbulence.
Which churns up the sludge layer. And before gravity can pull it back down, that turbulent water exits the tank, carrying the solid waste directly into the delicate gravel of the drain field,
Leading straight to that irreversible biomat clogging we discussed earlier.
Man, just from doing laundry on a Saturday?
Just from too much water too fast. To prevent hydraulic overload, you really have to spread your laundry loads out evenly throughout the week.
What about leaky faucets or toilets?
You have to fix leaky toilets immediately. A seemingly harmless running toilet flap can silently dump 200 gallons of unnecessary water into the tank every single day.
Keeping the tank in a constant state of turbulence, that's insane.
Yeah.
You also have to protect the physical ground above the drain field from soil compaction too, right?
Absolutely. The golden rule is to never park cars, heavy trucks, or moving vans over the drain field grass.
Never build a heavy storage shed or pour a concrete patio on top of it either.
Right. The immense weight of vehicles will completely crush the underground PVC distribution lines and compact the soil so densely that it can no longer filter or absorb water.
Because the infrastructure relies on the soil remaining loose and porous.
Exactly. You have to treat that patch of grass with respect.
Now, I need some clarification on long-term maintenance. If I have perfectly balanced oxygenated bacteria rapidly eating the waste, and I'm avoiding bleach, and I'm spacing out my laundry to prevent turbulence.
Right, doing everything perfectly.
Yeah. Why is it still absolutely mandatory to hire a truck to come pump the tank out every few years?
It's a great question. But biology has physical limits. While the supercharged aerobic bacteria do an incredible, aggressive job of handling organic matter.
The human waste, the toilet paper, the food particles.
Right, they handle all of that. but they cannot break down inorganic material.
The inert solids.
Exactly. Dirt washed off your clothes from the washing machine, microscopic synthetic fibers from fleece jackets, tiny bits of plastic, sand, grit.
Oh, I never even thought about the dirt from clothes.
It adds up. And hardened inorganic sludge, too. These materials will never decompose no matter how much oxygen or bacteria you pump into the environment.
They just sit there forever.
They will slowly, inevitably accumulate at the bottom of the tank over the years, steadily shrinking the tank's water capacity. Pumping is the required mechanical removal of that permanent inert sludge.
So how often do we actually need to do that?
The frequency depends on your household size and tank volume, but it is an unavoidable necessity to keep the physical space clear, usually every 3 to 5 years.
Got it. You also have to be militant about grease disposal, too. Do not pour leftover cooking grease, bacon fat, or pan oil down the kitchen drain.
Oh, never. That is a huge mistake.
It might be a smooth, flowing liquid when it's hot in the pan, but the moment it hits the cold underground pipes and the cool water of the tank, it solidifies.
It hardens into a dense, floating iceberg of fat that blocks pipes and completely defies bacterial breakdown.
So just scrape the grease into an old jar and throw it in the actual garbage.
Exactly. It requires a profound mindfulness about what crosses the threshold of your drains.
Bringing this all together, the grand takeaway here is really a shift in mindset. Septic systems shouldn't be a source of constant anxiety.
They shouldn't. They really are manageable.
Yes, they are highly complex, and yes, they are brutally expensive to replace, but disasters are almost entirely preventable. It's about shifting from a passive reactive mindset to an educated, proactive one.
By taking control of the process early, doing a specialized inspection before you sign the mortgage, eliminating the harsh chemical warfare on your drains.
Actively watching out for the subtle, early warning signs like gurgling pipes, and adjusting daily habits to respect the fluid dynamics of the tank.
And, of course, utilizing simple, scientifically backed preventative treatments, like SEPTIFIX, to give the tank that crucial surge of oxygen and bacteria.
Keeping the biome healthy and the waste breaking down at maximum efficiency, you can save massive amounts of stress and money just by paying a little bit of attention to the hidden world under your grass.
When you understand the mechanisms at play, you are no longer at the mercy of the system.
Well said. Which leaves me with a final, somewhat philosophical thought I want you, the listener, to mull over long after this deep dive ends. We talked at the very beginning about how buying a house with a septic system changes your relationship with your plumbing.
It's a totally different ballgame.
It is, but it goes deeper than that. Unlike being on a city sewer, where our waste just magically disappears into the municipal void and becomes the city's problem to deal with, a septic tank forces us to be entirely radically accountable for our immediate environment.
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
Right. Every single chemical cleaner we choose to buy, every wet wipe we lazily flush, and every gallon of water we casually waste stays right there in our own backyard. It doesn't go to a magical faraway plant. It goes right into the soil we walk on.
We have to own it.
Exactly. It is a powerful reminder of how deeply connected we really are to the ground beneath our feet. We are directly responsible for the health of the ecosystem we live on top of. Next time you walk out onto that perfect green lawn and look down at the grass, just remember the living, breathing stomach working tirelessly right below your boots. Treat it well, and it will treat you well.